Hello again to everybody who watch my channel on a regular basis. This video relates to probably what you know relating to John McCain. I call him a doofus for one reason, because he's supposed to represent the Republican Party, and everything about himself has been, even before Trump was elected, he is a Obama supporter. He's an advocate of Obama's socialistic attitude that the country called America must be subjected and submissive to whatever he forced on us for 8 years, and he continues to do that right now. The thing about what's happening in America today, in a nutshell, is those who are against Trump, who are always putting him down, are themselves those remnants of Obama's socialism. And they can't accept the fact that the American people chose somebody other than Hillary Clinton to be the President of the United States. And they can't tolerate that. They cannot accept the fact that we, the people, choose who we want to be president. This is not about the Democratic Socialists telling America what to do. This is supposed to be a republic of free-thinking, free-choosing American citizens who choose what president we want, and that everybody should accept that because the majority has spoken. And John McCain, being an example of this video, is primarily to say this to everybody watching. He does not represent the Republicans, and therefore, in my book and most of everybody else, he should be impeached from his party or be forced to change his affiliation from being a Republican to a Democrat. And there's several other people who fit that category who are Republicans, and they just will not stand by what President Trump wants to do about destroying Obamacare. And rationally, if you hear how these other people are speaking, and I'm referring to two specific women who are Republicans, every time a vote came up where they were supposed to decide about the outcome of repeal, then replace, they said, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to agree to it. And I would say these two women are cheerleaders of Obama, because every person who stands against what America wants, which is to get rid of Obamacare, they have tendencies to prove beyond doubt that Obama's still there and he's still telling people what to do on the outside of the gate looking in. Physically, he may not be in Washington. He may not be visibly seen on the camera, but he's still there. He's still telling people. And ironic as it is, he seems to have this supernatural ability to affect people, whoever they might be, for whatever party affiliation they have, to control them, to manipulate what they do and what they decide. If you followed Obamacare since the beginning, back in 2009, 2010, this is what Nancy Pelosi told everybody. You sign the bill. She told this to every senator and congressman. You sign the bill and we'll tell you what the bill is about afterwards. They forced it, they shoved it on people. And that's why they chose to do it, because a lot of them were kind of like, they were just totally aspirated by the pressure they were under by the Democrats to sign the bill. And now in roughly 9 years, we've replaced all those senators twice, if not 3 times we've replaced them. And you think, well, we got a new fresh group of people who we've now elected. They're going to have totally different opinions. They're going to get the job done because that's why we put them there. What has happened? Over and over again, the Republican Party still, even though it's a majority of the Senate and the Congress, they still will not take the responsibility that we, the voters, gave to them when we elected them, to say, You're there to do a job because we need somebody who is not going to fold under any kind of pressure from the Democrats. And now it's evident after 2 consecutive replacement Congress and Senate of people who would not stand firm on what we wanted as Americans. They are proving it over and over again. That Obama is still telling the Senate and the Congress of what he expects them to do, and that is to overturn anybody who tries to destroy his so-called legacy, which he has no legacy. That's the biggest joke. He has no legacy. You know what his legacy is? Communism. That's what he'll be known for. He's the first American president ever to instigate a philosophy in America that shows total socialistic mandates in his policies. Not only that, it proves that he has a viewpoint of totalitarianism. He loved Chavez, who was the Venezuela president. And the only reason that Venezuela is not totally communistic as it used to be under him is because he died. And the question that remains in most Americans today about how can we get people to understand their responsibilities is to get rid of what Donald Trump calls the sewer. These are individuals who somehow or another still have positions that reflect Obama's viewpoints, and they seem to be above or beyond the ability of being removed from offices that they hold. And I will say this, though the U.S. Supreme Court did say that certain parts of Trump's ban on some Muslim countries being allowed into the United States, they did not give him full executive powers to enforce what he wants to do as president. Why? Because those who are in those positions in the U.S. Supreme Court were all chosen and put there by Barack Obama himself. They have allegiance to Barack Obama today. And their position as Supreme Court justices, it's not supposed to be influenced or affected by any particular person. You're supposed to be objective. You're supposed to be open-minded to what's being told to you. You cannot be swayed, nor should you be swayed by somebody who was a former president, in this case Obama himself, and yet every time you turn around, the Supreme Court is doing exactly what Obama said during the time he was president of the United States. I'll give you an example. Edwards. This is the individual that was placed there by Obama. He has been totally for and in total acceptance of everything Obama passed, including Obamacare. Now here's what's interesting. You know the fact that when the U.S. Supreme Court was told by Congress and the Senate, we want y'all to review what we have actually passed as a law to see if it's constitutional, about the forced mandate, about these different provisions of Obamacare. Well, where Roberts, or Edwards, he did something that a U.S. Supreme Court has no legal right to do. He changed how the law read to enforce what Obama intended him to do. In other words, Obama said, I want you to change the wording so it looks like this or that, so that everybody must accept that it's constitutional. And he did it. And then the Congress came back and said, sir, you don't have the legal right to change the law. You're supposed to discuss it and review it, but you don't have the legal right to change the wording or to change anything about that law. And he did. Guess what? Nobody ever held him in contempt for changing something in a law which by legal rights he had no right to do that. That's just one example about Obama's influence. Many other things have come about. They're talking right now about something that really was an absolute joke, because Barack Obama said it during his second State of the Union address. You know what he said? He said, I can assume that those in this in this chamber are the only ones lucky enough to have health insurance. He says the rest of America is just going to have to take their chances.
It's not too much of a stretch to say that some of the only people in America who are going to work the same job in the same place with a health and retirement package for 30 years are sitting in this chamber. For everyone else, especially folks in their 40s and 50s, saving for retirement or bouncing back from job loss has gotten a lot tougher.
That's exactly what Obama said. Now, people with straight heads who have straight and they fully grasp what he has been allowing Congress to get away with, people are saying, we have to change this law, if there is such a law, that gives them free health care while the rest of America pays the tab for their health care service. And I totally agree that we should change whatever this stipulation is on the books that says the American people are entitled to the same health care you are as a senator or a congressman. And that if you don't want us to have that same right, then your right to have that health care is now null and void, and you have to buy the same insurance that everybody else has to. In other words, if you don't want to work to get this health system fixed, you're going to live under it yourself. You're not going to have the right, like those who are in the military or have some special privilege of getting a better health care service than the rest of America, because you think, well, I'm entitled to it because I was either in the service or I'm a congressman or a senator or I'm some high government official. That's not fair to us, and guess what? We as taxpayers pay that. And I say it's time for the Congress to either do their job and give up letting Obama control them in the background, or force you as the Senate and Congress to pay for the exact same thing that everybody else has to. John McCain is a jackass. He's more than that. He does not see it from the perspective of his constituents, the people who put him there. All they look at is that he's a senile old man who's just gone through all these medical problems, and therefore we have to accept the fact that he has some mental problem now. And okay, so in other words, we're hiding behind the facade that he made that decision of saying, no, we're not going to change Obamacare because of his physical condition, his physical impairments, or whatever. And in a nutshell, to what's going on, folks, it's Obama. He's controlling this whole thing. He's still controlling it. He controls the media. Every single day they keep talking about something as a hashtag or hash on Donald Trump. It's totally bogus. People have said it over and over again. It's false news. Who does that to a network? Who has the power to force its affiliate stations and its networks to say this is how we're going to do it, and we're not going to give up on it because somebody is telling them keep on Trump over and over again? And who is it? Obama himself. He had power to control the media during the time he was president. He still does, even though he's not there. And the socialists or the Democratic Party who say over and over again, Obama and what he did was right. Even though y'all have proven that it's wrong, that he did things that were illegal, we're never going to hold him accountable. And that includes giving all that millions of dollars, billions of dollars to Iran. And he said it was back payments. It was not back payments. Because as soon as we paid them, guess what happened? All of the American hostages that were in Iran, they were all released. Obama got a pat on the back for that. But under federal law, it's illegal to pay ransom to any foreign country who hold hostages. That's illegal. You can't do that. Obama, he did it, and they never held him accountable for that. But they bring up all this crap about Trump, saying he did this, he did that, he had affiliations with Russians. Come on. All of that is just overkill because the Democrats can't accept the fact that the American people voted for who they wanted to be president. And if you can't get a grip of it, then it's time for you to leave whatever government position you have, pack up, go to Russia, go to Cuba, which is where Obama wanted everybody to go, and stay there. Because under a dictator, you have no choice, you have no voice, you have nothing. And that's exactly for 8 years what we had in America. A socialist pig named Barack Hussein Obama. And today, he's still controlling it. Right back in the back. Thank you.
go. I say go away. You bother me.